Babar, a young elephant, is rescued from poachers. Since it could not be released back into the wild at the time, it was placed in an elephant sanctuary over the next few years. Here, it is cared for by the same people every day. Babar grew up under his tutelage and soon became an inseparable friend. Until one day, his caregivers suddenly wanted to return home. It took them 9 years to see each other again. Then something happened that no one expected. Be very careful what the elephants do. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Harold is back in India for the first time in 9 years. More than 20 years ago, he worked as a caretaker at an elephant sanctuary near New Delhi, the capital of India. He came back both for a tour and to see his friend Babar again. However, he doesn't know that Babar's condition is not at all good. Babar was very depressed. He doesn't want to leave his cage for months and has a hard time getting along with other elephants. Harold's sudden departure made him very sad. Nothing or anyone could comfort him. But soon Babar's life will change a lot, because after years of living in a shelter, he had the chance to live in the wild again. His keepers found him a good home among the elephant herd in Kaziranga National Park. It's an exciting event for the elephants who have been living in the shelter for a long time. This creates tense moments when Babar is introduced to the herd. His encounter with another male elephant almost ended in a fight. Although not very territorial, elephants sometimes fight for dominance in the group. Fortunately, it turns out it was just a dating ritual. Babar quickly adapted to the environment. Before long, he was reunited with Harold. When Harold was suddenly forced to leave India, he and his wife had returned to their home country, England. His wife is getting ready to start work at a new hospital here. But Harold longs for India, especially his best friend Babar. So he decides to go on a tourist trip in search of Babar. His former colleagues at the elephant sanctuary had been able to more or less tell Harold where to find the elephant. Excited by Harold's plan to find Babar, they decide to accompany him to the sanctuary. When they got there, it didn't take an hour to meet their first herd of elephants. Harold stood in the river, put his hand to his mouth, and called Babar's name. Harold was right. Babar was coming towards him. He rushed to Harold happily. He raised his whirlwind and charged Harold like a trumpet. They were very happy to see each other. As this happened, dozens of people gathered by the water to watch this special moment. More and more people realized that something very special is about to happen. As several elephants ran towards the man at full speed, one can imagine the growing tension. Will this work out well? To the audience, at least Harold doesn't seem scared. And then there's that special moment when Harold and Babar were reunited. There were heartfelt hugs and teary-eyed crowds watching as the two friends finally enjoyed their friendship again. Babar seemed to want to introduce Harold to the other elephants in his herd. But then it turns out that Babar actually has a very special surprise for Harold. Babar found a wife for himself. Harold's former colleagues know this but want to save the surprise for the reunion. One of his former associates told Harold that Babar's acceptance into the group was problematic at first, but he has never left a female statue since. And that's not really a surprise. Babar is becoming a father. Recently, his wife gave birth to a baby elephant cub. When Harold heard about this, he couldn't believe his eyes. His best friend has become an adult elephant and started a family. It was a huge win for Babar to meet his baby elephant. He can now return to the UK with peace of mind. Babar has become a proud elephant. The meeting went well, and the surprise was even better. Such a meeting between old friends reminds us not to forget to connect with our old friends from time to time. Let's move on to the next story. This snake looks innocent, but it hospitalized this 2-year-old with one touch in 2016. Kylie Cook, who was only 2 years at the time when this incident took place, was supposed to be going through her usual day of preschool school, or that was supposed to be the case until her father, Michael, received a frantic phone call from Kylie's mother and his spouse, Natalie, who was with Khalid at the preschool. The dread and hysteria in her voice was apparent. It was, of course, almost immediately picked up by Michael that something was not right, and he asked Natalie what was wrong. And the answer that he received from the other end of the call was one that etched itself into his mind. Regardless of the place where you reside or who you are as a person, it's never a bad idea to collect basic knowledge of the fauna in your surroundings. By having knowledge of the fauna around you, it means to have an idea about the organisms in your locality that you may or may not encounter on a daily or seasonal basis. The understanding of such things used to be of great importance to our ancestors who were thriving for survival in the wild. And even though we have come a long way since then and are currently living in vastly different times, by no means does it mean that we should stop working on the improvement of these cognitive abilities. How did the lack of cognitive abilities impact a little girl's life? Well, a family from Texas received this lesson the hard way after their daughter went through something that could have very well been fatal. Therefore, cognitive abilities are important. It should not be whether one has an interest in a subject or not, because depending on the place where you live, knowing what to avoid and protect yourself from can turn out to be the only reason that you remain alive. Because we sometimes forget that other species of animals besides our own are also present on this planet, and some of them are not too friendly. Parents, especially those living in rural areas, should treat knowing where their offspring is at and what they are doing as a top priority. Kelly, a young girl who was enjoying her day and had been out playing and had been bitten by a venomous snake known as a copperhead for, which is common to be found in eastern North America. This snake is extremely venomous, and it impacted the little girl's hand badly. The little girl's hand and forearm rapidly started to swell up and blacken at the same time, and her reaction to this made the ordeal that she was going through clear. Her fingers turned black, and her whole hand started to balloon out, Michael told ABC 8 News. She cried and shrieked in pain as he saw her hand turn into a balloon. Moments ago, her hand was completely normal, and now she could not even look at it without crying in pain. When she reached the hospital on time, the child was flown to Cook's Children's Hospital as quickly as possible. It's located in Fort Worth, where she received the treatment that she needed. Her parents were extremely traumatized and prayed for her well-being. Wholeheartedly, the doctors were shocked to see the condition of the little girl's hand, as it had lost its color and was swollen due to the venomous snake's bite. After receiving the adequate treatment, she soon bounced back to healthy. The hospital showed the pediatric snake bites were averaging from 17 to 25 each year. It was a scary moment. "My heart stopped," said Kelly's mother, Natalie. Now the parents are trying to spread awareness so that people check the places before letting their children play in different playgrounds, as these life-threatening incidents can occur anywhere. Depending on the areas you live in, make sure you never leave your children play without checking the surroundings once. Just a moment of carelessness can ruin your child's whole life. That's it for today.